It was 2 a.m. Emily was lying in her bed, staring at the ceiling. Her big job interview was in the morning. The kind of opportunity she had been waiting for months, but she couldn't sleep. Her mind was spinning with the same questions over and over. What if I blank out? What if I say something stupid? What if they ask me something I don't know? What if I'm just not good enough? She stayed up for hours, running through every scenario, rehearsing every possible answer, imagining every possible disaster. But when morning came, she had 0 answers. Just exhaustion, just a foggy mind and shaking hands. Sound familiar? We've all been there. That feeling of lying awake, your brain refusing to shut off. Convinced that if you just think about it a little more, you'll finally figure it out. But you never do. Because what Emily was doing that night wasn't problem solving. It was overthinking, and there's a massive difference between the two. Today, I want to walk you through exactly what that difference looks like, why our brains fall into the overthinking trap, and most importantly, what you can actually do to break out of it. Because once you understand this, everything changes. Let's start with overthinking. Overthinking is when your mind gets stuck in a loop. You're not moving toward a solution, you're just recycling the same fears, the same doubts, the same what-if scenarios over and over again. It feels like you're doing something productive. It feels like you're being careful and thorough, but you're not going anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels and draining your energy. Emily that night wasn't preparing for her interview. She was scaring herself. Every thought she had made her more anxious, not less. That's the clearest sign of overthinking. When thinking about a problem leaves you feeling worse than when you started, you're not problem solving. You're overthinking. Now let's talk about problem solving, because it looks completely different. Problem solving is focused. It has a direction. You identify what the actual issue is, you think through your options, and then you take a step, even a small one. Problem solving has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you're done, you feel a sense of progress, even if the problem isn't fully solved yet. Imagine if Emily had done this instead. She sits down, takes a breath, and asks herself one simple question. What is the one thing I'm most worried about? She writes it down. Maybe it's that she forgets what to say when she's nervous. Okay, that's a real, specific problem. Now she can do something about it. She practices her answers out loud. She writes down 3 key points she wants to make sure she covers. She picks out her outfit so she's not scrambling in the morning. She sets 2 alarms, and then she closes her notebook and goes to sleep. That's problem solving, calm, focused, and actionable. So why do we overthink in the first place? Why does our brain choose the exhausting, endless loop over the calm, focused approach? There are 2 big reasons. The first is the fear of uncertainty. Human beings are wired to want to know what's coming. When something is uncertain, our brain treats it like a threat. And its response to that threat is to think harder, analyze more, and try to mentally control every possible outcome. The problem is that uncertainty can't be thought away. No matter how many scenarios you run through in your head, you still won't know exactly what's going to happen. And so the loop continues. The more you try to think your way to certainty, the more anxious you become. It's a trap that feeds itself. The second reason is our past experiences. If you've been hurt before, if you've made a big mistake, if something went badly wrong in a situation that felt similar to this one, your brain remembers. And it starts scanning every new situation for the same kind of danger. It's trying to protect you. It genuinely is. But the way it does it, by replaying old fears and imagining new disasters, ends up doing more harm than good. Instead of helping you prepare, it keeps you stuck. So what do you actually do about it? Here are 4 things that work. The first thing is to give your fear a name. When you're overthinking, your thoughts are usually vague and shapeless. It's this big cloud of dread hanging over you. The way to shrink it is to get specific. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Not in general, specifically. Write it down if you have to. What is the actual worst thing that could happen? When you name it, when you make it concrete, it loses some of its power. A vague fear feels enormous. A specific fear feels manageable. The second thing is to set a timer. This one sounds simple, but it's genuinely powerful. Give yourself 15 minutes to think about the problem. Set a timer on your phone. During those 15 minutes, you're allowed to think, to worry, to brainstorm. But when the timer goes off, you stop. You write down whatever solution or next step came to mind, even if it's not perfect, and then you act on it. This works because it puts a boundary around your thinking. It tells your brain that there's a time for thinking and a time for doing. And it trains you to move toward action instead of staying in the loop forever. The third thing is to question your thoughts. Overthinking thrives on assumptions. It assumes the worst. It assumes failure. It assumes judgment and embarrassment and disaster. But most of those assumptions are not based on facts. They're based on fear. So when a scary thought shows up, push back on it. Ask yourself, is there actual evidence that this is going to happen? Or am I just catastrophizing? And even if things do go wrong, have I survived hard things before? Can I handle this? Almost always, the answer is yes. You've handled hard things before. You'll handle this too. The fourth thing is a grounding technique that you can use anywhere, anytime, whenever you feel your thoughts starting to spiral. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Then find 4 things you can physically touch. Listen for 3 sounds around you. Notice 2 things you can smell. And find 1 thing you can taste. This exercise works because it pulls your attention out of your head and into the present moment. Overthinking lives in the future. It's all about what might happen. But right now, in this moment, you are okay. And this technique reminds your nervous system of that. Now, let me tell you how Emily's story ends. The next time she had a big presentation at work, she did things differently. She sat down the night before, gave herself 15 minutes, and wrote down the 1 thing she was most afraid of. Then she wrote down 2 things she could actually do about it. She practiced once. She set her alarm. And then she put her phone face down and watched a show she loved until she fell asleep. Did the presentation go perfectly? Honestly, it doesn't matter. What matters is that she showed up rested. She showed up clear-headed. She showed up ready. Not drained from a night of spinning in circles. Not foggy from hours of imaginary disasters. She was present, and that made all the difference. That is what it looks like to shift from overthinking to problem solving. It's not about thinking less. It's about thinking better. It's about knowing when your thoughts are helping you move forward and when they're just holding you in place. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who could use it. We all know someone who stays up way too late inside their own head. Sometimes that someone is us. And the first step to breaking the cycle is simply knowing that the cycle exists.